Welcome everybody. Today we are going to be talking about how to set up silhouette decoys. And so in just a moment I'm going to show you some video and images on how to properly set up silhouette decoys. But first off, what are silhouette decoys? Well, silhouette decoys are two-dimensional outlines of real ducks and geese. And in my opinion, they're often misunderstood and not given full consideration by duck and goose hunters. So let's take a look at some of the pros and cons of silhouette decoys. First off, the low cost. Typically, these decoys range in the area of about $8 to $20 per decoy, and if you compare that to the cost of shell or full body decoys, which are typically between $15 and $60 per decoy, you can tell that they're a very cost-effective way to get into hunting and add to your spread. Additionally, they are a great addition to your existing decoy spread, so if you already have some full body or shell decoys, you can pick up some silhouette decoys to add to your spread and really add some great volume for late season hunting. They're also easy to transport and store. Since they are flat, you can easily stack a whole bunch of them together, and you can also carry them in your vehicle and carry them out to your favorite hunting spot pretty easily, especially with some of the decoy bags that they make for them. They also will work well when it's snowing. So with shell or full body decoys, when it snows outside, the snow will collect on top of those decoys, and any approaching geese will be able to see that and oftentimes flare off. However, with silhouette decoys, you do not run into that issue at all. Now let's talk about some of the cons. Durability can be an issue if they're not properly cared for. So they are typically made out of cardboard or a hard plastic material, so if you do not care for them well, you certainly could bend or damage these type of decoys. You also need to have sufficient numbers of these decoys so they can be seen from all directions. Since they are two-dimensional, you want to make sure you have several of them placed in different angles, and that way if you do have approaching ducks or geese, they can see you from any angle that they're approaching from. Now let's take a look at how to set up these decoys. Alright, now let's talk a little bit about setting up your silhouette decoys. So in this case here, we're set up in a common V shape, which is a pretty typical setup for hunting geese. And so in this case, our wind is blowing from left to right, so our geese are going to want to come from right to left and hopefully go right into this landing zone. So what we want to do with our silhouette decoys is make sure that you set them up facing several different directions because they are two-dimensional, so you want to make sure that the geese can see them from every angle. So you can see here we've got our geese facing varied directions, and so if the geese decide to circle around your spread, they'll be able to see your silhouette decoys from every angle. So that is the most important piece when you're setting up your silhouette decoys, is make sure that you have them facing many different directions. Today we are working with some silhouette decoys provided by Big Al's Decoy, and as you can tell, these decoys look great. They have a great color to them and are very realistic. They're also pretty durable here. You can tell that they've got a great feel and will stand up well in the elements. When you get silhouette decoys, you're also going to want to make sure that you get the H stands, and that's how you're going to set them up in the ground. So if it's nice out and the ground that you're working with is thawed, you can actually just go ahead and push them in, and you're going to want to make sure that you do not push from the top of the decoy, because you can break your decoys that way. You want to push from this bar. However, we're in January in Minnesota today, and as you can tell, I can't push these in very well. So what you want to do, actually take a power drill with a 1/4-inch drill bit, and you can just drill yourself some holes into the ground, and that'll just make it a lot easier to go ahead and put those H stakes in. What we've got here is an example of an H stake that we've already put in, and it's ready to have your decoy put on top. And here's an example of a decoy that is all set up and ready to go. Now let's talk a little bit about how to face your silhouette decoys. So in this case here, we have all of our decoys facing one direction. And as you can see, as we walk to the side though, what you're gonna notice is that it's impossible to see these decoys from one angle. So as you can see right here, you can't even see those decoys at all. And so that's an example of how you don't want to set up your silhouette decoys. Now what I've done is I've adjusted a few of these decoys, and as we walk around, you're going to be able to see that you can see at least one decoy regardless of the angle that we're at. And that's why it's important to have many silhouette decoys facing different directions, so that as geese or ducks circle your spread, they're going to be able to clearly see at least a handful of those decoys regardless of what direction they're facing. If you have more questions on how to set up your duck or goose decoys, just head over to howtofixduckandgoosedecoys.com and click on the decoy placement tab. On there we actually have free downloadable instructions regarding the instructions we just showed you today with how to set up silhouette decoys, but there's lots of other free resources on how to paint, how to set up, and how to fix your duck and goose decoys. So just head over there to print off your free instructions. Additionally, if you're interested in the Big Al silhouette decoys that we showed you today, just head over to bigalsdecoys.com and you'll be able to click and view duck and goose decoys for sale there, and you'll have your ordering information right on that website. If you have any questions, visit our website at howtofixduckandgoosedecoys.com.